Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca. So some of you may know me as the pre and postnatal yoga teacher here at Lighthouse, but did you also know I teach a Friday morning 9:30 a.m. Hatha class for everyone? You should join me. I'm here today to bring you a little yoga snack. So today we'll be talking about transitions between poses, and more specifically, that oh so tricky transition of stepping forward into lunge from downward facing dog. Sometimes it seems like there's just not enough space underneath your body to bring your leg forward, and all that core strength it takes. Whew. So I've designed a little sequence today to help break it down a little bit and help build some strength if you do it every day. All right, let's come to start. We'll start by coming to all fours on the mat and just do a few cat-cows to flex our spine, get ourselves warmed up. Just start with a big inhale. Lift your chest through your upper arm bones. Lift your head. Stretch your tail back. You can come up a little bit too, but really it's more about stretching it back, making your spine extra long, drawing your shoulder blades on the back. Exhale, draw your chin to chest, tail comes down, back lifts, shoulder blades come off the back, make a big rounded shape like a Halloween cat. And then inhale back to cow. All right, let's just move back and forth through that. Inhaling into cow and exhaling into cat shape. Just to warm ourselves up. And if you need a little extra movement in your hips, maybe a little swaying or a little circling, go for it. We'll do about like 3 or 4 more breaths like this. All right, on the next time you find yourself rounding your back into your cat shape, bring your hips back to your heels, stretch out into a big, long child's pose, and then walk your hands over to the right side of your mat. Take a nice side stretch by pressing down with the left hand, making a big stretch in your side body. Big breath. Walk yourself back to center. Walk yourself off to the left this time. Right hand sort of pushes the floor away. Make your right hip a little bit extra heavy so it's stretching in the opposite direction. Big breath. And then walk back to center. Let's come up into all fours. Take a moment to get situated before we begin doing some serious core work. This can get kind of tiresome having your hands always down on the mat, and this whole sequence is going to be pretty much on our hands. So let's take a moment to just get some strength into our wrists and our arms. Take it out of our hands and wrists as much as we can. So press down with each fingertip pad, press down firmly into the mat, and sort of draw the hands back into the palm of your hand, lifting the knuckles a little bit up off the mat, and then ever so gently just sort of turn your hands. They're not going to actually move, but you feel like you're sort of dialing a big knob or something out towards the pinky side of your hand. And that should make it feel like you've got a lot of energy going all the way up the arms, through the forearms, into the biceps, maybe even helping you draw your shoulder blades on the back. All right. And in the meantime, make sure you're firing up your core. Let's talk about how we do that. Lift up the muscles in the center of your pelvis, right in the middle of your hips there. Lift those up into your body. And then draw the sides of your waistline in. Feel your belly button sort of coming up towards your spine. But as it does that, also draw it up towards your heart. Make an extra long spine. You kind of feel yourself stretching out through the crown of your head while you do this, like someone's pulling on an invisible string up there. Now we're really fired up. Our arms are nice and engaged. Our core is super firm. Stretch your left leg back behind you. Leave the toes on the ground for just a moment. Press back through your heels. Take a little stretch to the calf, stretch to the sole of the foot, and then lift your left leg up. Make sure your toes and your knees are pointing down. Think of it as maybe rolling the inseam of your pant leg up towards the ceiling, all right? And then with your hips, make sure we don't have our left leg left hip all hyped up. Make it more even with the right, either by lowering it or finding a little lightness in your right hip. If you've lost some of the tightness in your core, just bring a little bit of lightness into your back body, sort of lifting your kidneys up towards the ceiling. There we go. Now we're ready to lift our right arm alongside our ear into a balancing table. Take a big breath here. And then bend your knee, bend your elbow. Bring knee to elbow underneath the body and send it back out. Let's do that 2 more times. Knee to elbow and send it back out. And knee to elbow, send it back out. Really good. Bring your hand back down to the mat, but keep your leg lifted and readjust if you need to. Bend your knee one more time, and this time sweep the knee right underneath you, sort of sending it towards your nose. Send it back out. And 2 more times. Exhale and bring it forward, and send it back out. And once more, send it back out. Now, this time when you bring it under, stop there for a second. You're going to have to shift your weight just a little bit to the right side of your body to make enough room. That's why it's tricky to do this on hands and knees. But you can always make enough room by either sort of lifting up, coming up onto spider fingers with your left hand, or just sort of moving your hand enough to shift the leg forward. You can also try it with blocks if you want to make that extra space. Let's all come back to all fours. Grab your blocks, maybe put them on the low side so they're more stable. Send that leg back behind you, bend the knee, sweep it under, firm core, super firm core. Notice how I'm lifting my kidneys up towards the ceiling, step it forward. Now I have that room. Let's try it one more time since I kicked my block. Send it out, and I still lift my hand a little bit. You don't have a lot of space, it's an anatomy thing. All right, let's just take a quick low lunge here, just to sort of warm up, lift your chest, lift your arms. Oh, take a nice big stretch. And then come back down. I like my blocks for this. Bring your blocks back towards your hips and extend your front leg, coming up onto your heel. Toes are sort of pointing back towards your shin. Draw your heel down and bring it back towards you as you pull your right hip forward and lengthen out through the crown of your head. Hinge forward and just stretch into the back of your thigh. Take a couple breaths here. Lift your tailbone as you do this. And then plant your foot, bend your knee. You can send those blocks out of the way. Step yourself back. Come back into all fours. Should we do the other side? Let's take a child's pose in between. All right. Once again, fire up those wrists, those forearms. Pulling those fingertip pads back in. Stretch your right leg out back behind you as you lift your belly button, sides of the waistline come in, really firming everything up. Lift your leg. Toes and kneecaps are pointing down. Gently let your right hip become more even with the left, and then you're ready. Stretch your left leg out in front of you. Take a balancing table, a couple breaths. And then bend the knee, bend the elbow, knee to elbow under the body, send it back out. Knee to elbow under the body, send it back out. Knee to elbow under the body, send it back out. Replace the hand, but the leg stays back behind you. Bend the knee, draw the knee under the body, knee to nose, send it back out. Knee to nose, send it back out. Knee to nose, send it back out. And then this time, bend the knee, sweep it under, hold it there for a moment while you just sort of figure out how you need to move to make some extra space. Draw the back up towards the ceiling, draw the shoulder blades off the back, and step it forward. Again, that hand might need to come off the mat. No problem. Let's take out a lunge here. Just a nice big stretch. Chest towards the sky. Dropping the tailbone, pulling the left hip forward. And then coming down, reach for your blocks. Bring them back towards your hips. Extend your front leg, coming up onto your heel. Press out to the big toe side of your foot. I always find myself sort of letting that go. Lift up to the crown of your head. Fold forward. Make that heel extra heavy. Sort of feel like you're trying to pull it back towards you. All right. Bend your knee, plant your foot. Step yourself back into your table pose. Let's take a few moments here just to, so now we've practiced sort of what you do as far as stepping forward when you're on your hands and knees. And that is, just to be sure, just to be clear, always an option. The teacher has you sweeping your leg underneath, and you're not ready there, you're not there yet, just drop to your knees and step forward from there. Always an option, always a modification. Blocks are super extra handy in that regard too. But let's talk about sweeping the leg. I'm going to move my blocks out of the way. Let's practice coming into downward dog and plank first, because those take some serious core strength, all of which are present in that knee, in that sweep of the leg. So let's practice that. Draw the sides of your waistline in, the pelvic floor, those muscles in the center of your pelvis, draw them up into the body. Make lots of extra space, right? As you scoop the belly button up towards the heart, press into the fingertip pads, press back through your heels. Make all of that happen before you lift your knees and your hips and press back into downward facing dog. Let's do that a couple more times. Drop the knees and then engage. Engage the core. Lift that before you press back. And down. And let's do 2 more times. Lift and down. Once more. And we'll stay up there. Whoa. All right, take a moment. Now we're in downward facing dog. Take just a moment to really enjoy it. You can bend your knees and lift your butt to make an extra long back. Take a nice, good, deep breath. And then come back down to the mat. All right, let's practice plank. Same actions here. A lot of the same things that are going to happen when you sweep your leg underneath you from downward dog. Stretch the left leg back behind you. Press back through your heel. Stretch your calf just like we were doing before. But this time, as you engage through your midsection and really pull everything in, keep pressing to the heel and use that effort of sort of lifting the back body up to lift your knee and bring it back down. You can even treat this a little bit like a cat-cow. Let's keep going. All right, so as you exhale, you can round your back a little bit, maybe bring your chin towards your knee a little, and as you come down, stretch your chest forward, inhaling into a little cow. So a couple more times. All right, the next one when we lift the knee, it doesn't matter how far you lifted that knee, it's really just, can you make it a little bit looser? It's not like we're supported on the ground, really. Even if it's just millimeters, we're really just about lifting it enough so you can step it back into a plank pose. Now lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. All right, one more time. We're going to do it on the other side. Come to all fours, stretch your right leg back behind you. All right, same idea, firm up the midsection, really bring everything in and lift. And then put it down. Whew. This is hard work, right? All right, next one, I'm doing one more time, and then next one we step back into plank. Plank, downward dog. Woo, glad that's over. All right, we can take a little child's pose first. And then come back to center. Now we're going to practice stepping forward. All right, tuck your toes, lift your hips, firm your belly. Take a moment, you can walk your dog a little bit, and then lift your left leg. Bring all that weight into your right hand, right leg, as you lift your left leg. Toes and kneecaps pointing down, same as when we were in all fours. Hips nice and even. Try and lower the left hip a little bit. Maybe that happens by making the right hip a little bit lighter. Bend your back knee, your left knee. Sweep it forward as you shift forward into a little bit of a plank. Keep the belly firm. Think of lifting the kidneys up towards the ceiling. You might even have to come up on your toes on your right hand, right foot. Send it back out. Come forward and back and forward and back. All right, this time we're going to step it forward. Think you're ready? Bend your knee, step it forward. Now, we're right here. Hold it. Don't let the momentum of the sweep be the thing that does it. Hold it. Shift a little to the right so you can have some room for your left and step the leg. Right? All right. Now we'll step it back. Finding downward dog. Woo! Let's take a child's pose in between. And come back up. Last one, I promise. Tuck your toes. Lift into downward dog. Lift your right leg. Toes and kneecaps pointing down. Lower your right hip. Make a little lightness in your left. Make a lightness in your back body. Nice long spine. And don't forget your fingers, your wrists. Protect those by really engaging through the palm of your hand. Bend your knee. Sweep your leg forward, knee to nose. And send it back. Sweep it forward. Send it back. Sweep it forward. Send it back. This one we're stepping. Sweep it under. Keep the back body light, even coming up onto your toes to make some more space. Step forward. Notice I still sort of made some space in my right hand by coming up a little bit, more weight had to come into my left hand to make space. Do not worry if you landed your foot here. Just in a heel toe and squiggle. Let's take a technical term. Yoga squiggle. Bring it up there. No big deal. All it takes is strength and practice. All right. Let's step it back down. Come into child's pose. Woo! I'm all out of breath myself. All right. Well, you can go ahead and take a little Shavasana break if you want, or some extra stretches. But that's my favorite way to practice how to transition that step from downward dog into lunge. I hope you had a great time. Hope you come back and practice it every day. This has been a yoga snack from Lighthouse. My name's Rebecca. Come join me Friday mornings, 9:30 a.m. right here.